past couple of weeks have been unimaginable, to say the least. We have been witnessing history in this time of unity and strength in our communities for all Black lives. Today, we will be touching base on everything we need to know to focus on ensuring our brothers and sisters' lives were not taken in vain. From talking about us all making the voting polls and focusing on recycling the Black dollar, today we're getting through it all. Welcome to the 25 and Over Club. Thank you for tuning into the 25 and Over Club. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell to receive notifications when we drop new episodes. We have special guests joining us today for this special episode we have for you guys. Let's start it off.
What's up, everybody? I go by DJ, affiliated music producer, record label owner, Philadelphia, PA, in the building.
My name is Shamari Davis. I'm a dialysis technician, Del State alumni. Let's keep it with that. Brooklyn native, Delaware resident, representing.
Right.
Yeah, what's good, man? Notice Dash, represent Queens, St. Albans, construction worker. Just here to kick it with the people.
My name is Helena, Ethiopian-born, Michigan raised, Spartan alumni, and I'm an educator in New York City.
My name is Chike Zegu KJ, teacher, fitness coach, pro athlete, and also personal trainer. Just trying to represent for the culture, always for the culture.
My name is Sheree, Brooklyn raised. I have my hands in a whole bunch of little pots. I'm always trying to start my own little businesses, but I used to be a teacher and stuff like that, and I'm trying to finish school, so that's what I'm doing right now.
Let's get started. Recently, the NFL tweeted, "We, the NFL, condemn racism and the systematic oppression of Black people. We, the NFL, admit we were wrong for not listening to NFL players and encourage all to speak out and peacefully protest. We, the NFL, believe that Black Lives Matter." So my question is it too late? And what does this mean for Kaepernick? Let's talk about it.
Okay, I want to start off by saying so he has a very unique role. You spend so much time, your entire day, like 12 hours a day, doing this one specific thing. And then with just one act, his whole entire life is ruined. So you ruin a person's career. It's been, 4 years now? And because of this social pressure, you apologize, and you're not even clear about what you're apologizing for. You're just saying, I apologize for what I said earlier. What do you mean by earlier? Right? And you ruin this person's life, and you think an apology is going to really impact this person in any way? Like, words are just words without action. And without action, it's meaningless. So for me, I don't know if the apology is sincere. I think it's because a lot of companies are saying hey, Black Lives Matter. Right? I'm going to just say it because I need to say it. And if I don't say it, then I might have a publicity issue that I might have to explain, right? But does he really care? If he had cared, he would have said something earlier. Or if NFL had cared, if the organization had cared, they would have done something a lot earlier. Because this statement was made a day after the top NFL players created this Black Lives Matter video. So I don't know if it's sincere. You ruined a person's career, and then you're just saying you're apologizing, but you're not even being specific with your apology. I don't know.
Shamari, what's your thought on this?
I think that we always have to just stay aware with the propaganda of the country. With us knowing that we hold a lot of power, that the time manipulation on apologies are always connected to revenue. Yeah. And so at the time when the NFL was saying, don't do this and don't do that, in the aspect of saying you cannot kneel, stopping the First Amendment, and that's why my shirt was like this, because you should always have freedom of speech. But the correlation that they try to make was towards the national anthem. They were trying to make it seem as though the national anthem was bigger than the subject that laid at hand. So what they did was basically stop you from what you're doing now, which is peacefully protesting, and made it seem radical of just normally expressing yourself. So that's my opinion into it. Like, I just think that everybody kind of manipulates an apology.
I kind of want to play devil's advocate, but I'm not pro NFL in this whole topic. Colin Kaepernick's position in all of this. Granted, an apology was given, which we all know apologies don't mean nothing to our people. You know what I'm saying? And we all believe protest is the first step to demand change. But should we be harping on the NFL so much for a person who still wants to play for them, knowing the conditions that we're in? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, we all know white people we already know how to go into handling white people as we see every day. Like, we know about handling cops. Like, we know we avoid cops. We know where white people stand when it comes towards our culture. Should we be putting all the blame on the NFL for someone who's still selling their soul to play, who want to play for the league?
Of course. Why not? I mean, I don't know what company. I'm not sure what company you work for, but I'm sure your boss isn't pro-black either. Your CEO probably definitely isn't pro-black. But
yeah,
you get
up every day
because you have to feed your family. You got to go to work. That's the way you pay your bills. So that man paid his whole life to be able to do something, and then for that to be ripped away from him is crazy. So why not?
Well, it was also given back to him with the opportunity to try out. I'm saying, if my job right now showed me to my face the disrespect to my culture, I would leave. I would have to quit.
Do you understand the stipulations behind the tryout? It wasn't just okay, come try out and that's it. It was like a closed door tryout, no cameras. He couldn't pick his own wide receiver. It was a lot of things behind that, especially with the contract. That's why he didn't sign the contract. You can't always
did that an hour before the training, so that's unacceptable as well. Especially when you're trying to get back into a league. You know what I'm saying? We all know it ain't easy to get into a league. Granted, I'm not saying he's wrong for his position. The way he did it was whack. The hour before your professional tryout, you pull out and demand a change and try out on the high school field because you want cameras and you want to feed social media, but you still ain't got your job at the end of the day that you really want. So
it's not feeding social media. The cameras were there to ensure that he gets a fair shot. That's why the cameras were there. Because if you have a closed door session, it's his word against the NFL's word. Who's the bigger corporation? Who's everybody going to go with? They're going to go with whatever the NFL says. So that's why he's like, you know what? Let's do it on my terms. And he showed out.
Getting into Kaepernick wanting to go back into the NFL, my problem is that we fight so hard to integrate. We can literally do everything ourselves. Like, we create everything. Like, we literally invent everything. So the worst thing that we did was try to integrate, try to fit in, try to want to belong and want to be accepted by white people.
The whole Colin Kaepernick really changed my perspective and everything. Even right now, I'm so afraid that, back then, before the Colin Kaepernick took a knee, I would have probably grabbed the contract with both hands if it was offered to me. But I say that to say this. I remember the day of my pro day. This is the day where all athletes from all over come together to, showcase their talents to the NFL, right? I remember standing in line, and I think I told you the story before. I remember standing in the line with my tights. They make you take off your tights. You're shirtless. And I remember just staying in line, right? And I remember I looked back and I saw a trail of, other young brothers, some white people mixed in. Let me not say that white people were in there, but majority of the people were black. And all I remember was, my history book of the slave trade, right? And I was like, hold up. It kind of bugged me out. They told me, oh, keep your head straight. I was like, okay. I went there, they measured my hand, they measured my thigh. They even took a picture of my butt, right? Kind of weird, right? And of course, you show how fast you are, how strong you are, blah, blah, blah. At that time, all I was thinking about was being a contract to take care of my family, right? To, put food on the table, right? So now to go back to what you mentioned about, the job and everything, right? As of right now, if the NFL opened me a contract, I don't believe for what they stand for. And also, to go back to what Danae said, I feel like all the black billionaires in the world should come together, put their money together, work together, and create your own NFL. Because the majority of players in NFL are black. How many owners in the NFL do you know that are black?
Almost 80%.
Right? How many
80%
GMs in the NFL? 2, right? I'm gonna keep it brief though. I got you. You know me? But with that being said, I'm in shape right now to go work out for a team. But I'm not really that pressed because I feel like I have other talents that I can utilize to make an income, right? But most of the time, our young black people are taught that it's either sports, rap, or drugs. When again, I'm educated, I'm a teacher, and I try to teach my young black boys that you have other talents as well. Yes, I played Division I football. Okay, cool. But I could have did other stuff. I have other talents. I have other stuff that I can utilize. Simple.
Let me ask you a question. Even with the big three, the basketball league, the big three.
Yeah.
That's not totally black. They got a couple Jewish guys backing or whatever. But how many guys do you know personally that actually watch the big three games, that actually support the big three?
I mean,
that's it.
I know some of my boys watch it.
I wanted to piggyback off what you said about integration. I just tweeted that the other day. Integration is the worst thing that happened to black people, period.
Yes.
And if we had conditioned ourselves from back then to say okay, I have my own water fountain and I have my own bathroom, it would have turned into our own money, our own businesses, and everything else that we can do. Because if you really take black people out of the biggest platforms of the world, you will have nothing. The Beyonce, black, okay, everybody that is on top, or our music, our culture, everything that we do is just so good and lit that I'm sorry, but just got all emotional. But yeah, so I agree with what you said about the whole integration thing, but black people really do need to do better as far as supporting and recycling our dollars back into ourselves.
Black people from slavery, you took them out of slavery, you threw them out, and you said go make something yourselves, and they sure did. There was countless communities where they were becoming a threat to the white economy. And what did they do? They burned it down. This happened multiple times in history where their communities were burned down. So I don't want to say, oh, it's black people, y'all gotta get your own. Y'all haven't been doing that. They have been doing that, but they've been attacked for it and attacked and attacked and attacked. So it was
and that's why we should attack back.
Facts.
It wasn't just the police force in the other community coming to burn it down. It was also the government helping the town burn them down. So when you put against a decision like that, it's either you're gonna die from what you believe in, or you're just gonna lay down. So everybody says, okay, I'm a man, but we so quick to want to fight someone else that looks just like us, or kill someone else that looks just like us for looking at us. But when you got a white police officer straight up abusing a brother or sister in front of you, you turn your head or even turn your recorder on. What happened to dying for what you believe in and all this other tough gangster corner shit that you've been talking all along? It doesn't happen. It goes out the window.
Where are the gangsters at?
Exactly.
But when Kanye said that slaves should have fought back, he got canceled. So a lot of people don't want to go against the tradition. Do we all know how Tulsa, Oklahoma really burned down? Do we know how the start of it, that a black 19-year-old and a white 17-year-old went in an elevator together, and something happened, transpired, and they went both ways, and then the article come out the next week saying that the black kid did something to that white girl, and now you have the white mob trying to go to the court and get that black boy that's arrested. Now, what we did as a community in Tulsa at the time, they came in and tried to protect the black kid. They got into it with the white mob at the courthouse, which led to the white mob coming back to kill all of Tulsa.
But you know what?
We can say the government, but it's white supremacy. That's the same shit we're going through right now. It's the same shit that caused our people to lose our Black Wall Street, our most richest government at the time, who was more expensive than the government at the time. I don't know if it's just the government at this point. White people really think they lit.
So you said the same thing we're doing right now.
The same thing with George Floyd being killed by a white man.
The same thing we're doing right now is going to lead to the same results. But what do we have that they're going to burn down?
I didn't say that. What is it? I said that was the story that led for Tulsa, Oklahoma to get burned down. Now, I'm saying white supremacy is going on right now. Even back then, a lot of people don't know that the white man went back and tried to kill a black boy and led to everything else. You know what I'm saying?
I was born in Africa. I was born in Nigeria, and I came here with the age of 9 years old, right? if that same incident that happened with George Floyd with the cop, the people in the area would have killed that officer.
That's
Right
what my mom said from Ethiopia.
Right then and there.
She said, if I had seen that incident happen, I would have grabbed that cop and
killed him. Now, with that being said,
so pretty aggressive.
You're talking about Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yes, they burned down, one of the greatest government, financial bureaucracy that Black people ever invented, and they bombed it down, right? Does that mean we stop trying? Right? Just like a kid riding a bike, right? A kid riding a bike. The kid falls off the bike. Even if a bully comes and pushes him off the bike, right? You got to get back up and keep riding so that you can ride away from that bully. Next time he comes.
We've been riding.
So recently, Real Housewives of Atlanta star Neelix tweeted, "There are people out here acting / fronting like they're supporting the cause, but really they want you not to call them out. But really, this is just a PR stunt." So we've seen Trina speak out and apologize. We've seen Lil Wayne talk about his experience with officers. Billy Porter and Terry Crews tried it and got backlash from their statements. Lil Baby recorded a music video at a protest. What impact does the company?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, what impact does this company and celebrities have on this movement? And do you think it's a PR stunt? So, Dev, tell me what you think about that.
For one, Black people are the only people that choose celebrities as leaders. I don't even care what they're talking about. Because at the end of the day, they're not really impacting my neighborhood. They're not coming to my neighborhood dropping no book bags or anything when it's time for these kids to go to school. We do that. You know what I'm saying? So as far as what they say in their opinion doesn't even matter to me at all. So I don't care one way or another what they say.
I think that's just what we allow today. We allow whatever is viral to be in demand right now. I don't think a lot of what's going on right now is genuine. I think it's just viral. I think our movement is just viral. And that's unfortunate, but I don't buy, it's great that this is hot right now. It's great that, it looks like we're actually about to do something. But I have little confidence and that's because a lot of us don't know our history and we don't see the pattern repeating. So we're not going to capitalize on the momentum. I think that someone has to jump in and make sure we don't make the same mistakes that caused us to be lenient in the past. And that's the only way that we can actually get somewhere. And that's not happening right now. So I look forward to seeing what happens in the future. Maybe it's not just a viral moment. I hope it's not just a viral moment. I hope that it's a difference, but we have to do better at knowing our history.
Celebrities are people. And I think that people try to make them seem more than what they are. And that's where it gets overlooked and that the moment is missed. I was saved by them, honestly, that people don't be talking about. Diddy wasn't too great, but his money went a long way. So at the end of the day, I want to be here. If it wasn't for Daddy's House social program, that's where the money went to. I want to be here if it wasn't for the Last Poets. If it wasn't for Black Ice, my voice is cracking because it's so emotional to me.
Sister Soldier.
They saved my junior high school. Sister Soldier was the number one person who saved my life. And that's who actually was the forefront of my community. She really did some crazy things with breaking the barriers, taking kids out of poverty. You couldn't even be in the camp if you had anything more than $20,000 in your household. The things that she's done with taking us to South Africa, to infiltrating our minds, to exposing us, to teaching everything about our culture. I learned Afrocentric education before I went to school. I read Before the Mayflower that people read in college starting at the age of 10, and I didn't finish it until I was 15. We were into that book. I learned about people like Paul Robeson and my first of Black people, and I'm Jamaican. I learned Patois before I learned English, so I really got teased for my accent. It made me, so I'm like, certain things, I just don't want to look back from who they are. I think that hip-hop should definitely keep the culture of our people that I read for. I wasn't around for these people. They're not a part. They're now a part of my culture because I am African-American now that I'm taking on. I can't ignore the fact that I'm here.
Right.
And that's what we got to realize, because I'm looking at old videos. They were the forefront. Whitney Houston singing, telling people about the poverty in New Jersey and stuff. People don't know what happens in your hood unless you say it on the mic. you are from places and you're reaching these forefronts, and it's unheard of. Nobody never even knew that you was from here and you made it. You understand? So I think that is important to give back a blueprint, or to say something when you are from these places and when you are making a difference. Yes, some people is going to take advantage of it. When you look back at Nina Simone and she's playing the piano, it doesn't matter that it is a white crowd. She's literally talking about Langston Hughes and how much people are dying in the streets, and how the only place where she gets peace is in Liberia, when she goes out of America, where she was born here. You know what I mean? I think it was like Durham, North Carolina or somewhere that she's from. But at the end of the day, there are jazz artists, B.B. King, and those people, they started that, singing and talking about what's happening. You know what I mean? Ray Charles singing and saying, no, I'm not going to these places because this is happening in America. And that is what blew Georgia through the roof after that.
Right.
Even some of my founders, you know, Osceola McCarthy Adams, she sat down. That was Grammy Award. When you look at all these people that was on the forefronts, if it wasn't for them to say, no, I'm black and y'all trying to use me as a top 10, but I want 100% of my people to make it. If it wasn't for those people to have that platform, we would not be here. So I'm not going to say that celebrities don't matter. Just like when Run DMC was getting criticized for everything that they did, they put our culture, you know what I'm saying? They saying, they're giving you a forefront of what black is and how it should be and what you should do with being black.
Last week, a lot of people like calling certain black people out because they didn't speak up. Me personally, I really didn't like that. And I get that a lot of people want, all black people with big followings to speak up. But for me, I have anxiety. So just me being on social media and watching everything going on, I didn't even want to be on social media, period. So to force somebody to speak up, I really didn't like that. My second point about social media and about black people and social media, cancel culture is disgusting. To me, we are so quick to cancel our own people. I get it. Some things that our people may say are very ignorant, but at the same time, we got to handle that in-house, because once we show everybody that, oh, this black person is ignorant, that black person is ignorant, then they feel like we have the right to call us ignorant. And in reality, no. It's like when your spouse or something may do something, out in the street that you're not too fond of. Are you going to check them in front of everybody? Or are you going to come back home and be like, yo, we need to chill next time? I feel like we need to stop showing every culture our faults.
I completely agree. I just also want to add on, like, it's important that when we post, regardless if you're famous or not, or if you have that following or not, to educate yourself before you post anything. I know that there are a lot of people out there. And in this case with, I have the list out here, but like with Trina and Terry Crews, right? You're posting these things, but how much do you even know about it before you post? And I think, what's his name? Lil Wayne had said something about it, right? Like, how are you educating yourself before you post something? Right? How are you learning? And though I don't necessarily agree with his inaction, I think he kind of did make a good point, which goes along with what Des said. Like, how are you helping the community? Yes, it's a good thing that you posted it, and that's important. But is that enough? Like, there's more that you can do that you're not doing. So,
Or in a photo op.
Or on a photo op, exactly, right? So, what else are you doing to help? You don't have to necessarily post. You can create an organization or fund local organizations that are fighting for the cause that you are for, right? And I think that a lot of times people are like, oh, because you didn't post, you're not for the movement. But the reality is no, you can be for the movement and still be behind the scenes. Some people are anxious and they do have anxiety with posting. So they decide to help in other ways that's not, what's the word when you show it off to, that's not out loud, or that doesn't express it to the world. And I think we kind of so the point that I'm trying to make is educate yourself before you post.
Amen.
And think about how are people going to actually react. Not that you should care about what people are going to say, but like think of the different ways that people are going to look at your post and understand that before you do. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think that when it comes to stuff like that, it's like we have to remember too that they're Black too. Like they have struggles just like we do. They probably just have them on bigger levels. But one thing I just don't like is when they say ignorant things. So I was understanding I think it was Ari Fletcher that had said like, oh, well, y'all better be using y'all stimulus checks to be donating or whatever. I thought that was pretty ignorant, but I get what she's saying. Like y'all, every time something happens, y'all be looking for Black people to just be like, oh, you should be pouring your money out here and to this organization or whatever cases. Like you got to understand, we don't know what they're doing behind the scenes. And also that they are Black people too. Like they have the same struggles as us too. So
I disagree with that one. I disagree with just because someone's Black, we see things from the same lens. That statement is totally untrue. If you take it back, let me get into it.
Okay.
If you take it back to slavery times, you had the field niggas, you had the house niggas. They seen that thing through a different lens. It doesn't matter. You couldn't express to a house nigga, oh well, I don't like master because this, that, and the third. Because he's in the house and he eating the good scraps. He eating a good steak. Bill niggas getting chilling. So we don't see it through the same lens. And if we did, there wouldn't be anyone like Candace Owens. She's Black. I mean, I thought she was.
Well, I think
They didn't do that to themselves.
Like, okay, a lot of
people
people
can't be mad at them for having a different position.
Oh.
In the one's a house nigga, one's a slave or whatever.
One's their own son. Like, you know what I mean? The house niggas, they son.
Everybody got a different position,
like
even at your job. So it's like,
that's why they're in the house.
Might be good at fighting.
They're in the house because they're skinned. That's why they're in the house, not because they're good at what they do.
That's what I'm saying.
Said.
Some of them have had guilt because of them being their own child. We know this from Frederick Douglass and all these stories. A lot of the owners, they were the fathers of these sons. They didn't just put random light-skinned people in their house. They were their own kids or their kids' kids. They knew who were having sex with their slaves. They know who they're having sex with.
Sometimes, and let me explain something to you. It didn't matter that was their children. They were slaves. They didn't give them special privileges because that was their children. They whipped them the same. They did the same thing.
But you were talking up the behaviors of the slaves themselves of being different. That is not something that they controlled.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody can bring you in and tell you, you're gonna be the house nigga.
This is your. They're
controlling
your position, but you control this. You understand? It doesn't matter what position you're in. You could be in any type of position. That doesn't mean that you don't understand the struggles of the people that's not in the same position as you.
That's what I was saying. We cannot always look for them to save us, because the same way I'll be like, oh, they should be saving us right now, the same way I'll be saying, celebrities ain't shit. I mean, we all human. At the end of the day, we all run in the same race.
We've all watched the rioting and the looting going on, whether it's on the news or social media. Let's educate the Karens of the world and the people who are still asleep. Why are we rioting and protesting? What are your thoughts on that? And if you disagree, what's a better solution? Affiliated, I'm gonna go for you.
I feel like our culture doesn't have a way to protect ourselves. Like we talked about earlier about if like another country or where you're from, like KJ said Africa. If that would have happened in your country, that cop probably wouldn't have made it off the block. You know what I'm saying? But in our country, we're conditioned and taught to never approach a cop or to never, rebel against the officer. I feel like if that was removed from the system, maybe we might have a chance or like making some change because we can actually defend ourselves. Our main issue right now is that we are helpless. We can't defend ourselves. We don't know who can defend us, like who can protect us. Like we're just lost right now.
Right.
So I feel like that's the main reason for our culture. That's the main purpose of our culture for even pushing this envelope this far, because without protection, we don't have nothing. We can get killed tomorrow and no one going to like really care. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like that's our main problem. Maybe for youth, it may be bigger to older people because they didn't see way more than what we had. Like my father seen Rodney King and all that stuff like that. Go through all that. I can only imagine what those times was like. But that's just my take. I feel like we're just helpless. Like we can't defend ourselves.
I just want to chime in about like the rioting in general. Not to say that I agree with it, but what else can we do that we haven't done already? That's one thought, but I also feel like we as a people, we're not focused. We don't have a focus, and we're coming off sloppy. And to be honest with you, it's looking like this was planned and not by us.
My thing is, just like you said, what else are we supposed to do? Like, how many cheeks are we supposed to turn? How many of our brothers have to be hashtag before we really get up and do something? You understand what I'm saying? The only thing that I would say is that I don't really agree with the looting of the black businesses. I do feel sorry for the black businesses that were caught in crossfire or whatever the case was. But also at the same time, what does your black business mean when a racist will have to shoot you in your head? Because I can't stop him and say like, oh, I have a business. He's still going to shoot me. So, I mean, people that are upset about that, I'm just like, I mean, we're fighting for a bigger cause here. Like, you can't go to Target because it's looted. George Floyd cannot go to Target because he's dead.
Facts. Like, my thing is this, like, everybody's more focused on the rioting than the actual problem that caused the problem. You know? And so, and what another thing people gotta realize is that it's not just black people out there rioting. You know, they have videos where cops actually started breaking windows and stuff like that. You know, and even Antifa. You know, that's
white people
they so they coming through and they doing all kinds of shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just the people in your community that's rioting. They got people coming from across you know, state lines. Absolutely. Just to come fight. And then you got to understand that all the violence, these violent acts that you know, our community is doing, who we learn that from? America. That's all they did was loot.
Right.
Exactly. That's what they do.
They wanted.
You know, so now that you taught us how to loot, rob, and steal, now we doing it. Now we the bad guy. That's all y'all do. Y'all run to different countries. Y'all still eat minerals and everything else that's important and lead the country in ruins. That's what y'all doing. So now it's hitting home, and now, you know, it's like, oh my God, what are you guys doing? We're doing what we taught. So as far as, you know, my thing is, I don't really like the rioting and the looting, because I knew people would kind of try to spin that and turn it into, oh, that's all they wanted to do was riot and loot, and try to take the focus away from the actual focal point, which is y'all killed the man for nothing. So that's kind of why I don't really like the rioting. But I mean, people are hurt, so, you know, they need a place to place that anger.
All right, so there's an ex-NFL player called Emmanuel Acho, and he has a series on YouTube called Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. And I'm just going to piggyback on what he said that explains the reason why people are rioting, right? So he gave a good analogy that basically explains this. He said he rides his bike every morning, right? And usually when you pass someone on the left, you usually yell out, on your left, that the person is riding, right? But he said in this case, he kept on saying on your left, and the person did not listen. So basically, him saying on your left is us doing the peaceful protest, taking a knee. We kept on saying it, on your left. The person did not listen. As he kept on getting closer to the lady that was in front of him, on your left, he kept on yelling. That's us doing the protest again, doing the same things, you know, complying, peaceful, on your left. But they weren't listening to him, right? As he kept on riding closer to the lady. Eventually, what happened? They collided, and that's what the rioting is. I understand that. I may not have to agree with it, but I understand the frustration, the anger of seeing your people killed on broadcast. It's so disrespectful. You know how much they don't respect black people in this country for them to know that there's a camera. They got body cams. Like, that was supposed to change anything, right? Do you know that they don't even give a fuck about that? You could be recording, they'll still keep doing the same thing. They don't respect us as a society. Until we respect ourselves as a society, they won't respect us. Simple, point blank. And that's all I got to say about that.
But I was trying to explain to someone else. I was like one of the first. Was I the only one when I got there? There was one other black girl actually at my job, and she left like 2 months after I went there. But for a very long time, I was the only one.
The only one.
And it was, the only black dialysis technician. And then I moved up to being a preceptor. So then I started training the nurses and the technicians that was coming in. And then I was the only black preceptor in the area. So then I was training all the nurses and technicians in different areas, whether they were Green Tree area or Smyrna, or if they needed to go to North Dover, wherever they was coming from. So it was just like a nonstop toll. And then I realized that I was like that hardworking Black girl that they was using in this aspect, that they always want you on the forefront, but they don't want you to kind of earn from it. And that's when I started demanding things, raises, you know, like extra everything. I want to do less chores. I want to work less for more money. Like, I started realizing these things, you know, was happening to me. And I think that when we give demands, then we get them. And I think that that's what's happening. That's why I'm so proud of us now, because it's such a big difference from the past. And I don't want that, the looting and those things, like, overshadow things. Like, do you see how fast the changes came in Minneapolis? Like chokeholds, restraints, tear gas, all of that is illegal. Like that, and that came within 2 months of, you know, and whereas we've seen Sean Bell, people, you know, everyone, I don't know, I did hear a young lady say she's not from New York, but everyone who grew up, if you've ever seen the Amidalo situation where they, you know, pulled out the wallet and he got shot 50 times, some of them officers, they ran out of bullets and they reloaded and shot again. This was one man against several, let's say 7 the least, you understand, unarmed. And if he was armed, he laid there lifeless and they still continue to shoot. So at the end of the day, I think that we've seen enough murder, and I don't know what type of reaction you expect from murder. So I think we should always remember, like, these are the forgotten kids. Like, these are the kids that the teacher said wasn't going to make it anyway. Like, that's who's looting. It's not business owners, not people who have money. It's people that don't have nothing. It's people who never got a stimulus check, baby fathers who owe, who's not getting a stimulus check. Like, these are the come-ups. These is who you got them things. These is who's selling 97s out their car. Like, this is not people who got it. So I don't understand why it is still being looked at like, oh my God, and coronavirus is out there. Like, they were unprotected. These are the people without masks. These are the people who are making masks and don't have gloves. These are the people who still couldn't find toilet paper. Like, I think that the struggle is way overwhelming to expect someone to act civilized and you've gave them inhumane conditions. You know, it's just like in Flint, the water's still not clean. Like, what y'all talking about? It's 5 years. Like, how long do you expect people to live like they in Puerto Rico? Like, you understand what I mean? And that's your affiliates too. And you left them for dead.
Do you feel like these swift changes that they're making with like the laws and like arresting these officers, do you feel like it's a part of a bigger plan?
As in a bigger plan for like the government?
Yes.
I think that a lot of these arrests would not have happened without the social pressure. If there had not been any pressure whatsoever, they would have left it as it was.
Okay.
They would not have done it. I am worried that if that social pressure no longer exists, just like it has for many lives that we have lost, where you have this rally, you get this group a month later, what happens? I don't know, right? If this fire dies, I am afraid that it'll go back to where it was, like a rubber band, right? You stretch it, you stretch it, you stretch it, and then it can go back when you don't have that pressure and that resistance. I also just want to make a comment. I want to say that, at least for me, when I saw what happened with George Floyd and with any of the videos, I used to not watch like any videos of Black lives lost by police brutality because I didn't know if I could stand it. But I actually started watching. I started by Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd, and I have to say it's traumatic. It is a traumatic experience watching someone that looks like you get murdered.
PTSD. Mm-hmm.
Because of their skin, and you realizing that you could have been that person.
Yep.
That is a traumatic experience, and people deal with trauma differently. And I think that other people in general need to understand that trauma is real. Watching someone die is not something that you want to do, and especially if you are the same, and especially if you know the root cause of it, which is because of your skin color. That is a traumatic experience. So I can understand why someone would be angry. And actually, just recently, I'm going to try to be quick and simple with this. Just the other day, I was at a park, and these young kids came up to me, and I told them, don't talk to strangers. But they said to me that they were looting, and they were looting like high-end stores. And I try my best not to judge. As a teacher, I have to create like questions to understand exactly why. So for me, before I judge, I say, okay, oh really? What is it that brought you to this position? Mm-hmm. How do you think this is going to benefit you and like the movement? So I try my best. I know that my opinions might be different, but I try to understand. And what was interesting is that they said these businesses were never even for us. They were using us for their own benefit. So we are actually taking back what we deserve, or we're taking back like the earnings that they had taken from us.
I definitely agree with everything that was being said. Also, we have to kind of set a tone for what we will tolerate anymore, and what like how it's gonna go from now on. Because honestly, I've been rioting a lot. I've been protesting a lot, and even like I don't know, like white people when they see me now, they're like, oh yeah, well yeah, like you guys gonna have to learn to. We're here too. You understand what I'm saying? So if we don't set the tone, then what will our kids go through? Also, touching back to what Lena said about watching these traumatic experiences, it's just like you guys are killing us like we're animals, and like you expect us to be okay with that. And whether or not I've ever been face to face with racism, which I really have not, I'm struggling with my people because we are all the same. So when I'm watching what's going on around the world, like how could I help but not be sympathetic and go out there and riot? To be honest, I don't give anything for the rioting, the looting. I don't burn it all, because we built it anyway. Exactly. And lastly, I would have to say, like for me as a mother, I'm not a mother. I'm saying like when I have children, I would be scared to death for my son to be in the streets, and why should my son have to grow up like that? Like white people don't have to grow up like that. Asians don't have to grow up like that. Why should my son be
choosing the wrong one? I'm trying to tell you.
Like if you kill my son, I'm gonna kill yours too. Like that's where we at now. Like we're not playing no more. Like, and this has been the biggest civil rights movement in a long time. Like, and also we're all on the same playing field right now. Everyone, like anyone can get this coronavirus. We all not working. We all not doing stuff. So maybe it is the time. Maybe people are just doing it for clout right now. But we need it right now. Like this is where we are right now, and that's it.
I'm not trying to be the angry black man at work. Yeah. But now everybody understands why we are angry black men. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they understood before. But I just want to say that being an angry black man is tolerated now. Everybody knows it. My question to Dad, how do you feel? I think it might be a cap or whatever, but how do you feel about media, white journalists, white politicians, everyone from the Caucasian world speaking on this and being pro Black Lives Matter? How do you feel about that? I saw Cuomo say it's wrong. Black injustice with black community is wrong. I'm like, wait, this guy on the news saying that? A white guy on the news saying how he agree with how wrong we've been treated? Is that not a positive change for you? How do you feel about that?
I mean, it is. I think we need all our allies. I'm sorry.
If you're ignorant to something, then it doesn't affect you, because you just don't know and you don't care about it. But now it's just so all over the place. It's forcing them to actually take a look now. Like, you know what? It's time to look at this shit. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not right. And you got to remember, the races are mixing too. There's millions of interracial relationships and millions of interracial children. So now they're looking at their kids like, damn, I don't want my kid to have to face the same thing as, this guy that just died. just because the color of his skin is brown. So now more and more people are starting to speak up because of that reason right there. Just because it's hitting home.
Married a black man or got black kids or white
love.
Interracial couples.
It's just love.
Exactly.
You can't say it's always love because this has been going on for so long. They could have been said something, but like you said, it's all over the place.
Yeah, but it's
blood.
When it's your own blood, it's different.
I'm pro looting, rioting, protesting. Get it out how you feel you need to get it out. I think we need to get more organization. That's all I want.
Yes.
Like I feel like we need to loot them big businesses and figure out how we're gonna do it. And getting to that as well, do you think that?
I don't agree with that looting part though. Like I agree with the rioting. I agree with the.
Why not?
But how else will you get what's yours? Not saying that looting is what's yours. Like stealing from Gucci.
Why not? What's the
Right,
issue?
but look, the looting's not necessary. The riot says stuff on Friday, yes, but just if you see the what they're doing in the Bronx, people's doing it just to do it. Now there's kids doing it just to do it. There's no.
How much do you feel like it's going to hurt that big corporation's pockets?
Yeah,
What is it hurt their pockets?
The economy.
I don't think it's just people. I don't think it's people who's really upset.
That's true too.
I think it's children doing it because maybe the media is just putting it. It's the Bronx. It's just kids. I've seen people who I'm friends with on Instagram Live saying, "Yo, we about to make this next move," but they don't understand why they're doing it. They're just doing it because it's a trend now. Yeah.
No, I completely agree with you, and that's how I felt too when it first started. Especially like Atlanta, it just seemed like all they wanted to do was just loot, and that was it. Boom. But that's what I said. I think that we need more organization.
Next time on the 25 and Over Club.
The future is not
the future I'm talking about can be
beginning.
That's how you change the future. It could be a 25-year-old, it could be a 30-year-old, it could be a 20-year-old.
And that's a good example of not listening.
I don't want you to think I don't go back to my block and pick up 4 kids and take them to the studio.
Take a grandfather off a block and tell them that they're going to vote for the first time and they did it for Obama.
Okay.
Everybody's about to be muted.
That's how I
Yeah, we're going to go